Hi everyone, this is CJFM from Hidden Assets, and we are going to be doing a pack review of Down the White Nile. And with me today, I have Grogboxer,
Hey, what's up?
and I have Jaredrules. And
Hey everybody.
Jared is hot off of winning a store championship, so
Yeah.
yeah. So we're going to be talking about Down the White Nile, the newest data pack for Netrunner, and I just wanted to get everyone's take on this. I wanted to, know what you guys have played with, what interests you in this pack, and whether you think the pack is solid to begin with. So let's get to it. The first card we have is Acacia, and it's a hardware for Anarch, and it's one cost. And it says, whenever the corp purges virus counters, you may gain 1 credit for each virus counter removed and trash Acacia.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, we've had a lot of discussion about this card, that it seems like it's pretty strong on the whole, but what deck does it fit in right now?
Yeah. I
It
just
doesn't work
like
until the new runner comes out, Kumalo or whatever. Because otherwise the problem with the card is it's economy that's not it's not on demand. So you have to wait for the corp to do something. You have to motivate them to purge,
Right.
right? So I think unless you're playing a lot of other viruses that wants them to purge, then I guess it's okay. But then
I mean, what do we have that really forces them to purge? I guess we have Aumakua. We have Yusuf, I suppose. Though I'm not even sure you really care about that.
yeah. I mean, I think that's true. But like the new runner Kumalo or whatever, the next pack or whatever, whenever he comes out, makes sense just because he can trash anything arbitrarily with viruses. So I think then he might get people to purge viruses more often.
Right.
But yeah, right now it's like Tapworm,
maybe
Turtle.
Yusuf.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Yusuf.
What do you think about the interaction of Acacia and Satcon?
Sort of cool, but it's like kind of anti synergy. Because then if you have the Satcon down, they don't want to purge ever, so then you're never going to make any money out of it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right.
Yeah.
At which point, it's just effectively a glorified fester.
Right. It's also interesting that if you're also playing Satcon, you're probably not going to be playing Tapworm too, because you have to choose what to keep around. Like, that's not really ideal. I don't know. Like, it is interesting though, and I think it's kind of like not something that people see when they look at this card. They're like, oh, you can prevent it from being trashed, but you totally can with Satcon or other things. Why you would want to do that, I guess, is yeah, they're never going to purge if that happens. They're just like, you're going to have infinite virus tokens. I don't know. Has anyone tried that? Have you guys tried this card yet? I haven't actually played with this card yet.
I have not tried it yet. No.
Yeah, I know that Nick took it to the store championship and got third or fourth.
The most recent one?
Yeah,
He had this in his deck?
yeah, he had this in his deck. He
Oh,
said
I
it.
never saw it.
He said it did nothing the whole day.
Sure.
So
Wait, who did? Or-
Nick, who
Nick.
played Quetzal
Okay.
with Yusuf, yeah. So he had a Quetzal Yusuf deck. That was actually pretty scary. Like, it just, at some point, breaks stuff for free all the time,
Right.
which is cool. But he said he never got Acacia to trigger the entire tournament.
So the other weird thing
Oh.
about Acacia to me is that like it isn't catching you up on like what you're losing. So like you're losing virus tokens, which like conceivably you want for like a purpose, and then you lose them and you get credits, and the credits don't really like help you get those virus tokens back.
Oh, right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
then
like-
you have to somehow get them back. So you have to have a card that ticks up every turn or something. We don't have
Yes,
Surge anymore. So
Yes, that's a good point. I mean, if your deck is built around viruses and not around economy, or built around viruses as economy, then
Yeah. What does the money do for
then I
you?
guess it sort of works. But right now, that doesn't yet.
yeah, that's a good point. All right, I haven't seen the last of Acacia. I'm sure we'll see some people
Yep.
with some cool decks that use it, but at the moment it's a little bit underwhelming. Let's check out the next card. So we have another virus, which is obviously meant to work with Acacia, I suppose. and it's called Plague. It is a 2-cost program with cost 1 MU, and it is a virus. It says, when you install Plague, choose a server. Whenever you make a successful run on the chosen server, you may place 2 virus counters on Plague.
Eh.
Yeah.
I mean, so like
data
it's
sucker, and it's just a security test for viruses, right?
Right.
yeah, but is that good? I don't think that's good.
Not
Yeah, I
yet.
don't
Yeah,
think-
no.
Yeah, I don't think so. Either.
Well, so like I mean, so I guess I'm thinking it's for again that the Anarch runner that's coming, and also like those breakers that can spend tokens from. Can they spend tokens from other things, or am I remembering?
Yeah, they
that
can.
wrong?
Yeah, Yusuf
Yeah,
and
okay.
the upcoming Sentry Breaker,
Right.
I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
they can.
Yeah.
For sure. Which is
Um,
good. It's just
and
super conditional.
Yeah, but like, it's. I feel like it's still just use like data sucker and maybe like breeding grounds.
Yeah, currently. Also, it's 2 influence, so do you think you'll ever see these virus programs splashed into another faction?
The breakers?
Yeah, the breakers and the kind of support cards.
I don't see it.
No.
Yeah, I don't know, unless they get a lot of other in-faction viruses that are
Yeah,
worth playing. But
Yeah.
too many different pieces. I think.
Yeah. All right, let's go on to a better card.
What, credit kiting?
Yeah, credit kiting.
yeah, you actually tried this, right, Chris?
Yeah, it's actually quite good.
Yeah.
So I think this is one of the sleeper cards in the set. And I don't want to rave about it just yet because I haven't found the perfect deck. But the fact that it reduces a card, not just a program or a hardware, but a card, means you could potentially like slam the liberated accounts for nothing, and then use like Citadel to lose the tag for like very little. So the upside is very high with this card. I think the taking of a tag is kind of inconsequential. Very few people play Judge. Like, you really don't have to worry about that all that much. And in any case, like, you're going to be playing some sort of tag removal suite, like Citadel Sanctuary, or just clearing the tag is fine. So
Well, what kind of was it? A Geist deck or what were you? Rated?
currently I'm trying it in Anarch, splashing credit kiting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which it's an idea. It's also something it can do very well in the mini factions because they have enough influence. So Sunny's very good with credit kiting because she already has an 8-cost hardware, and if you are playing a bit more econ, usually you are like liberated accounts. You just have to cut corners elsewhere, but it's not too hard. She has breakers in faction, so it's just like make your economy faster kind of idea. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess you can install Maw for free. That's
Yep.
maximum validity.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good this card could do in the future, especially like if we get some good high cost criminal cards, we'll see this card come out a lot, I think. At the moment, they don't really have a whole lot that's expensive. Like, most of their stuff is like 0 to 1 cost or whatever, and the things that cost more than that are not usually worth playing. So
Right.
yes, so I'm interested in this card. I think it's powerful, and I think it's going to see some play. Maybe not right now, but when people like settle down with some of the other cards in the set and branch out and look at some of these, they'll go to credit kiting.
Cards that you want to play.
Yeah, I mean, econ, like, this is a huge econ card, like 8 credits potentially. That's really good. So there's some potential here.
Yeah, it seems pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts on this? Has anyone else tried it?
I haven't tried it. I'm skeptical.
Skeptical? Yeah. Is it just the tag, taking the tag that makes it, or the conditional run?
It's like it's the run and the tag. It's just like, and then you need the card in your hand.
Yeah. Well, it's like a giant career fair, right? It's like it's like a career fair that takes an extra click.
Right.
Well, extra 2 clicks to clear the tag.
Yeah, it's just like it takes like. It just feels like it takes a lot to get.
Yeah.
To get what you want.
What do you think, Grogboxer?
I think I'm more optimistic. Like, the fact that you can install anything is pretty nice, but I mean, it's 3 influence or something, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, 3 influence.
It's not a great faction just because they're lacking a lot of other useful cards. So I think that's the only reason I wouldn't play it right now.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just that the other factions, and I think for 3 influence you could probably play something else.
Mm-hmm.
But the tag is kind of downside. But having the other card in hand, I think it's not as to draw the other factions anyway.
Yeah. Well, one thing to note is that this card will definitely get better if we get a good 1-link criminal. I mean, it just will, because they're already playing some tag avoidance, Citadel Sanctuary stuff. But like, if you can shortcut that by just having a better identity and not playing things like, I don't know, Nero, doesn't he have a link, or then you're going to be doing better. Like if we had some sort of econ ID or a draw ID or something that had a link, it'd be great.
Yeah, I'm just still not even sure what you're installing with it.
You're installing liberated accounts from Maw. I mean, that's it.
From Criminal?
Yeah, why not? I mean, like, you can...
I mean, Security Nexus for free is not bad.
Yeah, true.
Nexus, yeah.
That's intensive because of the influence cost. But, I mean, yeah, the upside's really high. I mean, that's, again, the problem. Like, there's no good link criminals right now, right? So you kind of want to play that in a link criminal. But I don't know. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
All right. Should we move on to Wari?
Sure.
All right.
I don't think Wario will take too much.
No, I don't. Okay. Actually, this is one of my first times actually like reading through the entire card. I kind of like read it and said like that's never going to happen, and then moved on. So let's get to this. Let's dig deep into Wari. This is a program. It's a criminal program. 1 cost, 1 MU. It is 4 influence, so we're probably not going to see this splashed ever. It says, the first time you make a successful run on HQ each turn, you may trash Wari to name sentry, code gate, or barrier. Expose a piece of ice, then add it to HQ if it has the named subtype.
Yeah, I think there's too many layers of conditions to make it useful. I think any of those... If you removed it, then maybe you could possibly play it. Like, to bounce an ice is actually bad. That's actually... I mean, it's actually a pretty decent denial ability, but the fact that it trashes and it requires the run and etc. And the fact, like you said, you're not going to splash it. I don't know. I think I probably will never play this card.
Yeah, it's sad, too. I don't know. They're definitely making softer ice destruction, right?
Yeah, which is it's cool from a design standpoint. I guess if they made it too powerful, it'd be really annoying if there's just permanent Leela effects on all these programs. So I'm kind of glad it's not that powerful.
Yeah, for sure.
Powerful at all.
Could you see this being used?
Really annoying. But
could you see this being used in Leela just to kind of, I don't know, like maybe you sneak door, you bounce a thing, you run, steal agenda, bounce a thing. Like, do you think is that too much Magical Christmas Land?
Yeah, probably. I guess where I see it, there's the new runner, whatever 419 that exposes stuff, right? I think I can't remember the exact text on his ID. It's something like the corp has to pay $1 or pay a credit.
Yeah, the first time the corp installs. It's the first time. I think it's the first time the corp installs a card.
Yeah, so that way you would at least know what they're installing, so you can bounce it, or it's Silhouette. But then you're playing either. So 419 doesn't exist yet, so you can't play it. Silhouette, I mean, again, it's a criminal, so I don't think they're particularly great right now anyway.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, there are a lot of possible scenarios where this card would fire and do something useful for you, but I think the chance of it doing nothing is also pretty high.
Pretty high.
Yeah, the fact that it costs an MU, and then you have to make a run, so it's not a icebreaker, so you have to somehow get in. I guess you could just inside job randomly into HQ, or do something weird like that. But then, what are you doing with this card exactly? You're just bouncing an ice for 1 turn. They have to not res it, first of all, to not see it coming, but they will because it's going to be installed. It's just like there's so many things for me that don't work with this card. And speaking of which, what's going on with the art? Could someone explain to me what that is? I have no idea. It just looks like...
I would imagine that a Wari is some sort of ant-eater animal.
Okay.
And,
is that what that is?
That is what that is.
Oh, all right.
I mean, that's my guess. But yeah, I think this card's pretty dumb. And I think that like somebody will build like a deck that's like pretty annoying that uses it pretty well, but like not ever really good enough to take seriously.
Yeah. All right. Maybe to a better card. Let's check out Kabunisa Wu, Net
Oh, yeah.
Space Thrill Seeker. All right, Kabunisa is a 1-link runner. She is a G mod. She's a 4515, and she has her ability Click. Search your stack for a non-virus program and install it, lowering its install cost by 1 credit. Then shuffle your stack. If that program is still installed when your turn ends, remove it from the game. So I think this is probably one of the cards most people have had some experience with, because it's always fun to just jam new games with a new ID, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are you guys' experience with Kabunisa Wu?
I haven't built a deck for her yet, but I think that her ability is super strong. And I have kind of like found myself going through lists of programs trying to look at like just like different ideas to play around with her. Like self-modifying code is obviously like a really good option.
Yeah.
But I'm also just like really interested in the ability to just like find just like go grab the breaker that you need right now and run, for that one turn.
Mm-hmm.
I think is more powerful than people seem to be talking about.
Yeah, you can't really rush out against her, can you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. Other thoughts?
Yeah, which
Very.
is cool. I guess a lot of people are building around SMC right now, which sort of, I mean, I guess that's good, but then you lose the dollar credit. So
Mm-hmm.
Jared has a point. It might be good with if someone builds a deck that has a lot of redundant programs, you just bring out the program you need and maybe don't care about it being removed from the game or something like that.
Yeah.
Times with different, I tried 2 different Wu decks. So one was the Cold Ones equivalent deck that was posted on online by Greg Tung, who got second at Worlds. He called it Paper Planes. I really understand, but it's the same. It's the glorified Cold Ones Apocalypse mill deck, right, where you just bring out the 3 Oragamis.
Yep.
Right.
The
Yeah, I
game
just
day.
played against that last night.
Yeah. So I mean that deck is pretty fun. I think it loses pretty badly to CTM, but because I faced it a couple of times as well on J. Now. I don't think I've lost as CTM to it just because they can't score they can't score the quantum predictive models anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
You-
It's also really sad
you-
against Harpsichord.
Yes. Well.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. Well, I guess they can score 1 each. They have
Yeah.
4
Or they need
turns.
an employee strike. No, they can't do it, right? Because they need.
I guess
need-
Well,
they can play
Encore
Film
can
Critic.
turn, so they can score if they have to score 4. Cause they'll have 4 turns total. The first turn, the Apocalypse turn, then 3 separate turns
Mhm.
or 4 separate turns. So they can still score an agenda in each of those Encore turns, but they have to get pretty lucky.
That's true. I
Yeah.
mean, if they have Film Critic, it gets easier, but still not great.
I don't
played-
know how good that Cold Ones thing actually turns out to be in this deck. I don't think I've seen it win that much.
Well,
Except
I mean,
well, the San Francisco guys were playing it, and I think they did really well at Store Champs with it. But
yeah.
so it's a cool idea, and I think I like the idea just conceptually of taking this card that no one ever, about origami, and then how all of a sudden makes a pretty cool deck out of it because you can get it out turn 1.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of interesting. The other one I saw online that sort of that used the same synergy was with Bazaar and Cams. So it's just kind of the same thing as that Haley Spy Cam deck.
Sorry, Bizarre and what?
Bazaar and Tech Rider and Spy Cams.
Oh, and Spy Camps. Okay.
You draw all the Spy Cams into your hand because you have like an 18 or whatever. 14 hand size.
Wait, what does
And then you
Bizarre
install
do
them all
again?
If when you install hardware, you can install another copy of the same hardware from your hand.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of cool. I like that idea.
Yeah, I mean I don't know if that one's any good. That one's actually pretty slow. It's slower, I think, than the old Haley Spy Cams deck.
Which was already pretty slow, but that was
Yeah.
during a meta where everyone was playing like what Caprice and just like lots of Ash HB and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it might actually be better right now. I don't know. I've seen it. I haven't actually tried playing that deck to see if it's any good or it can be sped up or anything. But
I have not.
with Woo that I came out on the Seattle Netrunner Slack, which I don't know, it's actually not turned out as great as I thought it was. Just using it for grappling hook and deep data mining. Grappling
It's
hook
actually
and
cool.
Kongamoto, which, yeah.
I mean, we'll get to the Kongamato. I think that is a good card, and how that fits into this deck is interesting to me. Because she definitely seems to lend herself to a kind of deep data mining build, like just naturally, because you can find SMCs to go find your memory daemon, and then just draw through your deck and put stuff down in the deep data mine until your ears bleed. But like the cool thing I think about Kongamato Woo that I haven't really heard anyone talk about is that as soon as we get better programs that are one-time use, I just need to get in now sort of things, she gets better. Like, I've been toying with the idea of just having a singleton sneak door in my deck, and just like one turn I just need to go into HQ or whatever, just use her to tutor up sneak door and run sneak door a bunch of times, and run up some like turntable counter or turning wheel counters, excuse me. Like, that's not a terrible idea, and sneak door is always kind of on the fringe of playable in most decks. If it didn't cost 3 influence, I'd say it's an auto include in her deck. But yeah, I've been kind of messing around with that. I've messed around with the origami deck, a couple different versions of the origami deck. I don't think they're that good, but they're too fragile. Like when origami just dies, your hand size goes south pretty fast, and then you can't really do things that you want to do. But
how is it dying?
Like best defense, yeah, I've had that happen a couple times. Just like they will just target your like origami, and you're like, okay, well, like because I was on a build that was playing Film Critic, and so I couldn't get them back, and it didn't feel very good. But that said, I really like the Apocalypse Cabanisa. A couple people in the Seattle Slack have been working on a Cabanisa Apocalypse deck, one that's not so cold onesie, that's just more of a control Apocalypse. And that deck has been actually surprisingly good, but it still has trouble with tagging and stuff like that. So it's still pretty weak to C-Source Exchange. It's weak to hard-hitting news, but I think it's one of our players, Chuck, who's been tweaking that deck, and we've been sort of jamming games against CTM, and he's been able to like beat it by like sitting on algo trading for a while and just like kind of sitting back because CTM's not a fast deck. It sort of just wants you to run, and if you're not going to run and you're just going to build money, it has to push as fast as possible. But by then he's going to be able to go off, and it's kind of a cool deck. Like it was an interesting build. It plays I think 2 hooks and grappling hooks, excuse me, and Kongamato, Brahman, and maybe like Inti or something like that. But it tries to it plays like 2 levy or 1 levy, and it just tries to cycle back through and do it all over again. So it's just like trying to set up a big Apocalypse turn, then like lock you down and do it again, and lock you down and do it again. It's kind of cool. It's a neat little idea. I guess it's a fair Apocalypse deck, if that's such a thing.
I think she's good. I think people will figure it out eventually.
Yeah,
but
she has a link too, and I always kind of gravitate towards 1-link runners, going like, oh man, there's so much you can do with a 1-link runner you can't do with a 0-link runner. So it's cool. Any other final thoughts on Cabanisa?
No, I mean I just keep thinking, situations like if you're playing like Titan, like Titan's just screwed against her, right?
Yeah, I think so.
You can't keep her out. You can't score that first agenda.
Well, I guess we should probably mention her interaction with sort of program resetting cards like Scavenge, and even Apocalypse. So like. Oh
yeah, I was wondering about Scavenge actually.
Yeah, so Scavenge
works.
Scavenge works. So you can scavenge the program that you search up with Cabanisa, and it's counts as a new copy of that program. So you won't have to remove it from the game. And if you Apocalypse, the Apocalypse card has no type. It's not a program, so it can't be removed from the game. So you kind of keep your stuff on the table, which is good, I think, because you can do kind of weird stuff like you can play ace ups if you supposedly want it, or you can independent thinking them away or whatever you wanted, you know. So there's lots of little plays that she enables because of the wording on her card. So it's pretty cool. All right, let's go on to the next shaper card. We have Takobi. Takobi is interesting. Takobi is a unique program. It costs 2 credits. It is 1 MU. It has text: whenever you break all subroutines on a piece of ice during a single encounter, you may place 1 power counter on Takobi. Then you may spend 2 hosted power counters, choose a non-AI icebreaker. That icebreaker has +3 strength until the end of the current encounter. And it's 3 influence.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't actually tried this card at all. It seems cool.
Mm-hmm.
So in principle, it's sort of the Shaper data sucker equivalent. The fact that it works on each ice that you break, actually a lot more powerful than I think people might have advanced. But
yeah,
I don't know if I'll actually end up using it.
No,
yeah,
I think Data Sucker is just better. And maybe if this card wasn't unique, it would be worth looking at. But I don't know. I think just it's like a little too slow to really have enough of an impact.
Yeah. I mean, any time a card says whenever, like, that probably means that there's something kind of busted you could do with it. But
Sure.
it feels like because it's about breaking all subroutines, like there are situations where you don't break all subroutines, for instance, or there are situations where you're just going to bounce off of an ice and you're not going to get anything from this. So that does kind of bumps me out a little bit. But that said, like, the effect is really powerful. Like, getting +3 strength for effectively doing what you're going to be doing anyway isn't bad. And if you're playing one of those dumb breakers that doesn't pump for a single credit, like if you're playing something weird like Creeper Creeper breaks for 2. Pipeline. If you're playing Pipeline, you just want to, like, you know, be a nerd and play Pipeline. You could play
well,
Takobi,
Inti, right? It's like
Inti, yeah.
Yeah.
But Inti's good.
A dedicated processor does the same thing for Inti, though.
Yeah, dedicated processor does, and it's permanent.
but it does the same. I mean, it does the same thing for all of them, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, you don't usually want to install dedicated processor on, like, Gordian Blade because it's already an efficient breaker. But yeah. The thing that always bummed me out about using it on Inti is that it doesn't actually increase its strength to the end of the run because it's not part of that effect. So this
like,
doesn't either. But
often
this one does.
Really
This one does.
coming into play?
Oh no, a current encounter.
No, it's just the end of the encounter.
Yeah, my mistake. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, like, how often do you really need the like saved Inti strength? Like every once in a while.
That's a good point. I think maybe this card fits into a stealth build more than it does a regular build.
Oh, that's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, I guess you save stealth credits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's potentially a stealth breaker. It counts as, like, stealth credits for runners who don't have, who aren't smoke, who don't have a stealth credit. So that's actually kind of cool. Like, if you needed to pump your refractor +3, you know, you've been breaking, like, enigmas for a little while, and then you can just, like, walk through something. That's not terrible. Still doesn't work on DNA Tracker, but, you know, there's still...
Does stealth need this, though?
I'm not sure. I haven't tried it.
I don't know. I like, at least since, like, Netrunner came out, I don't really feel like they've been struggling to pump their breakers up to strength.
No. Well, yeah. Well, I guess what the question is, or the question we have to ask is, does this speed up or slow down those existing archetypes?
Yeah. I'm thinking slow down.
It might, yeah.
Yeah, I think it would, Jared.
Yeah. It's too bad. It's a cool card. All right, let's go on to probably my favorite card in the pack. Everyone knows in the Seattle Select, I love this card so much. Kongamato. So Kongamato is a resource. It is virtual. Its text is trash it. break the first subroutine on the encountered piece of ice, and it is 1 influence.
Yeah, this
Great.
card is great. I
Yeah.
think it's probably I think it might be my favorite card from the pack.
Yeah, I agree.
Foiled, I thought. I think I was saying on the Lisa Seattle Slack that I think this card is probably flying a little under the radar. I think it's probably the MVP
Is there a
of the
pun
pack.
there?
And,
It's a winged terror.
yeah, and I think it's turned out to be as good as I expected.
Nice.
So there are a lot of caveats. I think it's actually pretty bad against Wayland, incidentally, because they play a lot of multi-sub ice or like stuff where it's not that useful.
Yep, that's what I found.
Against
too.
most other factions, it's actually it turns out pretty good. It's just at worst, it's a glorified economy card.
Mhm. Yeah.
It saves you 3 credits a lot of time against something like that.
Mm-hmm.
If they're facing a lot of glacier, it breaks Cider Adaptive Barrier for nothing. So it does a lot. And for 1 influence, there's not really that much harm in splashing it. So I was trying getting this, and then I know Chris, you and I have both been trying getting Max. It's worked out really well. I got someone arc blocked out both my paper clips online. I still managed to win because of this card.
Yeah,
So,
Nice.
this card is pretty bonkers. Like the fact that it just turns off Toll Booth effectively. It's basically
That
just
part's
turns off Toll Booth, and that itself, I still consider Toll Booth to be one of the top 5 ice in the game, and that's been since core. So now that you have a card in Shaper that costs 1 influence, easily splashable, that just does that. That is a almost meta changing card. Like as soon as people start adopting this card and playing it, like people are going to turn away from Toll Booth and go to like Data Ward and stuff like that, and it's just going to be weird. Like, which isn't a bad card itself. Like Data Ward's a fine card. It just takes more setup, and is more contingent on them not having things like hunting grounds or something like that. But like in Max, this card is insane because sometimes you just randomly draw it, and you're just like, cool, I'll just install this, and then maybe I'll need it later, and then eventually you do. Usually, there's always something in their deck that has.
It's
is
always
just one.
useful.
Yeah. Or sometimes you go like,
Jared, you tried this in the Quetzal deck, right?
oh yes, tell us about that. Tell us about your store championship winning deck.
Oh yeah, so I was playing the Stomps. It's like the Savernius Stim Implants deck that everyone from Seattle who went to Worlds, and then I guess you two also helped build.
Yep.
And the deck itself is just kind of like throwaway cards to Stim Implant runs, so you can multi-access HQ and R&D like over and over and over again, and then you draw back all your cards with Obelisk, and it's super fun, but you're also just kind of like making like slightly risky runs because you don't always have your breakers installed, and ideally you're like throwing away for your stim runs, but you don't always know what the ice is, right?
Right.
So
does this offer you some more a bit more safety when you're running? You just like throw a Kongamato down, they have 1 ice, you're just like, fine, I'll just toss all my stuff down and run. Like
yeah, and just go for it.
Yeah.
But it's also like
Since you're already playing DDoS, I mean,
what's that?
since you're already playing DDoS, I mean, they have to have 2 ice, and the inner ice has to have more than 1,
Yeah.
and they're on sub for this to not actually.
Yeah,
That's
and
such
then
a rare scenario for the corp that I think it seems like the cost benefit's pretty much in your favor as Quetzal.
Yeah.
and then your Quetzal too. But so then I was playing against Nick, right? And he was playing Spiderweb.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Nick's the guy who splashes Spiderweb in like HB.
But I think he had like this card in mind, you know,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure.
when he did that. So like it was good move on his part. But like this card like wrecks the brain rewiring decks pretty badly.
Yeah.
It's
insane.
It's not gonna keep you out. And I remember I was playing a game as brain rewiring, and I forget who it was, but they had this card installed, and I had like 2 Lokis installed because they were recurring fem. So I was like, well, you can fem one or the other, but you can't fem both of them. But then he installed Kongamato, and I was just like, okay, well, now I don't want to res a Loki to get him to use Kongamato one time, so then later I can keep him out.
Yeah. The cost benefit is so high.
That's
right?
horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like rewiring doesn't want to be rezzing ice
No.
for it to do nothing, especially. So I think it's super good against that deck, and hopefully it should help kind of like knock it down a couple slots.
Yeah. It's also weird because
Maybe.
Shaper, yeah, I mean, I think it does, but Shaper has not had that much trouble with things like CTM, really, because they can make a bunch of money with Tapworm, SMC Tapworm, or, they just sort of like wait and get critical mass and then they can't never tag them, or if they do, they have misdirection. But this is another anti-CTM card in a way, because you might get tagged or whatever, and then you kind of just like pop this to go through a resistor, or for a big dig or something like that, or to get through a toll booth, or to get through, most of their ice is kind of single sub, and or on encounter effects. So you kind of like, it's weird. It kind of like it gives them a better time against CTM. But what about this card in like in Geist? The criminal mini faction Geist. What about this card?
Well, you were doing that, right?
Yeah, I was. My Geist deck sucked, but I think that this card was awesome in it. Like,
in Geist, this seems amazing.
Oh yeah, it's basically like another breaker for him. Like, I think you definitely want to be playing his little cloud breakers in that deck,
Right.
but I wasn't. I was just playing
Oh.
normal breakers, and I never had any money. No,
Wait,
it was
why?
awful. It wasn't my idea. I was just
You can, like,
borrowing
the
an
world-
idea.
I guess that Worlds deck, the one that made top 16 with the Geist, didn't actually play the Geist breakers. It
didn't
played
play
or
the
the cloud
Cloud
breakers. It played whatever normal stuff.
Yeah,
What?
normal stuff.
I don't remember the rationale, but I guess that deck was making enough money that you could just pay with normal breakers, and not have to worry about
Right.
enter
Yeah.
or losing them one time only. I don't know. I mean, it sort of made sense. I don't know. He made top 16, and it can't be that bad.
No. I mean, that deck is better than the deck I played. The deck I
But-
played was not that good. It basically had those kinds of breakers, but I was doing a kind of underworld contacts thing, and it just was way too slow. Like, dripping one credit a turn, I was like, man, why don't I just play Daily Cast? Daily Cast is so much better. So there's so many ways that could have been slightly better. But anyway, this card, in that deck was never bad. Like, I would be drawing, looking for things, and Kongamato would sit down there just like, I just run and I wouldn't care, and it'd be amazing. Like, yeah, it's a fantastic card. Draws you a card. It's a really good card to use off of Peddler, and they already play Peddler, so it's got that surprise factor, which is nice. Yeah, I think it's gonna fit in a lot of decks.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. All right, let's move on to the Atom card in the pack, Emergent Creativity. I mean, this card is, I don't know. Let me read it first. I have some thoughts on it, but so this is an event. It's a double. It costs 2 credits, and it reads, as an additional cost to play this event, spend click, that's the double, and then trash any number of programs or pieces of hardware from your grip. Search your stack for a program or piece of hardware and install it, lowering the install cost by the total install cost of the trashed cards. Shuffle your stack. And it is 5 influence. It should just say Atom only on the side, really. It's just
Right.
like, what is going on?
Just sad because like this card would be so good in Sunny.
Yes. Yeah. So has anyone played with Emergent Creativity?
I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't tried. Yeah, I guess I don't really like playing Atom that much, so I haven't tried it yet.
No, I enjoy Adam. He's fun. I think this card is like good for him. I don't know if it's good enough though. I guess it seems like he's kind of been growing in strength anyway. But
Yeah, it's very good. It's a great tutor.
you always have extra
I
brain
think I
chip.
just don't play Atom in general. Well, I don't like playing Atom because in real life, like in person Netrunner, there's so many things you have to remember, like to do as Atoms. Like, okay, well, I have to trash this thing. Oh, I have to make a run. Oh, I have to reveal this card. I have to draw up if my hand size is X. It's just like sort of it's just kind of mentally taxing. So I don't actually. I'd rather just run a paper clip or stay back or something. So
Yeah. Well,
if Atom becomes the best runner, then I'll probably just grin and bear it. But so that's why I just
Right.
haven't tried it.
I have played against this card quite a few times. I mean, not this card, but an Adam, and mostly piloted by Clint. So Clint was playing this deck a lot, and he actually did he bring it? No, he didn't bring it to the store championship, but he was playing this online. Yeah, no, he was thinking about it. He was playing the list with 2 Fem, 2 Amakua, and that list is pretty interesting. Like it has backups ways to get in, but mostly it just plays Fems and then makes big runs. And it's definitely good against a meta that has CI and stuff like that. CTM, the CI, all those things. Makes a lot of money, and he just will toss out a Fem to get another Fem, and I just go, wow, okay, so that was a free Fem, and well, it costs 2, so it wasn't free, but now from anywhere in your deck, instead of paying 9, just pay 2 and a click. That's really, really powerful, and it's
2 per Fem is good.
It makes it so that you can't judge whether Adam can get in or not, which he already could do, but now it's even worse. I feel like that is one of the things this card does for Adam. It gives him a kind of he can go over the top effectively, not requiring credits.
Oh man, then you throw some Kongamatos in there, right? And then
yeah, sure. I mean,
but for real, if you have Adam, so you have always be running, you have a Kongamato, and then you can may or may not have an emergent creativity in your hand at all times, right?
Yeah.
Can't. How are you ever feeling safe about keeping him out of anywhere?
It kind of runs into the SMC problem though, because Adam, if he doesn't find his emergent creativity in time, he's still Adam, and he still doesn't really do that much until he gets his breakers or gets rolling, gets the first agenda and his brain chip or whatever. So this will find your brain chip. That's cool. This will find your if you're splashing something weird like Ma, or you're splashing Nexus, or if you're playing just Fem or whatever, you can find it really fast, and that's cool. That's a very powerful effect. It shortcuts the install, so it basically refunds itself almost with the double.
Right.
I don't know. It's also cool art. This is really good art, I think. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see more of this as Adam gets more popular. If he gets more popular, I think he probably will. They seem to be pushing him. Yeah. All right, let's check out another sort of Adam card called Orangey Key.
Yeah.
So everyone loves this card right now. This has been talked about a lot. Orangey Key is unique. Is a program, 0 cost, 1 MU. And it reads, the first time you make a successful run on HQ or R&D each turn, you may name a number. If you do, reveal the next card that you access this run. If it has a res cost, play cost, or advancement requirement equal to the named number, either gain 3 credits or draw 2 cards. So I know that you guys have played with this card, so tell me a little bit about your experience with Orangey Key.
Oh, I haven't played with it.
Okay, Grogboxer, you played with it.
Yeah, I've definitely tried it. I was trying it in Anarch decks. So I think as soon as it came out on JNet, I was trying it with Find the Truth in either Max or Val, and it works really well. I think one thing that's pretty cool is that I think if you're tracking things reasonably well from just HQ access, you don't actually need to Find the Truth. Actually, in the Store Champ stream yesterday, I think Dan Spinoza, Code Marvelous, had an RG Key Find the Truth Haley deck, and I think he hadn't even played the Find the Truth yet, and was still just using RNG Key to get money every time, just because he knew what cards were in HQ.
That's cool.
Or with high probability. And against certain corps, you can usually make a pretty good guess. So against EM, you could call 2 or 3, and you'll probably hit 50% of the time, 3 because they're playing 4 3/1s and hard hitting news.
Right.
They're playing all these 2-cost
ice
assets.
Yeah. Assets are nice.
And then IP block and things like that. So in 15 minutes, so it hits with pretty high frequency against CTM. Other corps maybe not as much, but my point is you don't have to do the whole Find the Truth or equivocation synergy. I think for usually if it hits half the time that you're playing it, or even a third of the time, that's still for a 0 cost, and you get 3 credits back or 2 cards. That's
true. I mean, yeah, it's
turned out a lot better than I expected it to be. I thought it would be pretty good, but sort of situational. But in actually playing it, it's turned out a lot to hit a lot more often than I expected it to.
Interesting.
Jared, what'd you think?
I think that this card looks good. I think that I'd be really bad with it. Because I am bad with numbers, and my memory
That's not true.
fails me every once in a while. No, it seriously is, and it's like very specifically like I lose track of numbers in my head really easily. So like I could look at a card and like look at the number of it, and then like 5 seconds later, when I need it for Orangey Key, like I'll totally forget what number I needed.
Oh, okay. Well, you just got to practice with it. I mean, it's definitely it's a little bit more mentally taxing because you do have to pay attention to what's going on in their hand. But it's definitely fun. I like playing this card a lot. It's fun. It's also interesting that it reminds me. It's kind of like a soft Temujin contract for the credits anyway, and it costs 0, which is kind of cool. And it just sticks around forever. So you may just hit on it randomly. I definitely am on board with you, Grogboxer, that I don't really like the equivocation combo, and I think Find the Truth is fine if you're already in Atom, but I don't think you want to splash it. I don't think it's necessary. Like, the influence is just way too high, and you might as well just like run HQ a bunch of times, like legwork if you're in Criminal, find out what's in hand, and then use your best judgment, or Index if you're in Shaper, and know what's on top. I guess you can't do that. Well, you can know what's on top for the next turn or something like that. You can remember what's going.
Right.
So there's a lot of ways to play this card that don't require gimmicks, I think. Yeah.
And it works with equivocation, right? So
Yeah, it does. It's kind of a non-bow with equivocation because you want to use that to access a card that you don't see. Like, I don't really like it with equivocation. First of all, equivocation costs too much. It costs an MU, so you're not going to be. That's 2 MU that you're spending, not on breakers, and then you're not using the actual. It's like you're using equivocation to look at a card, then keep it on top, and not force the runner or force the corp to draw it, so that you don't get to see the next card. It's like equivocation is best when it's soft R&D, an R&D interface effectively. But
I see your point.
you know what I mean? Like if you're just seeing the top card and going, I just got 3 cards or 3 credits and 2 cards, like that's fine, but you spent 2 credits to install this thing to let you do that. Like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like I
They'll
don't
find
know.
agendas.
Yeah. Find agendas. That's how you win. Like
Yeah.
drawing cards and getting money is a way to do that, but if you're not actively finding agendas. But yeah, it's got a lot of interesting interactions, and also very good in Geist cams. So
Oh yeah,
I'm noticing a trend here. There's kind of like an Atom / Geist.
Geist is back.
Yeah, is he?
Yeah.
I don't know. He's always been kind of there.
Kinda.
Yeah, there aren't a whole lot of Geist players in our area, I think.
Are there other areas that have lots of Geist players?
No, I mean, I don't know. Probably. I'm sure there will be. There's some people out there going like, "Oh, I play Geist," and I'm like, I know you do, but we don't really play Geist that much here.
I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of Atom either. I've seen a couple people play Atom in maybe the last month, but it's not like people bring Atom to their the local meetups or anything like that. It's usually Anarchs because they want to win the league or something like that.
Yeah.
Or some Caveny woo jank they're trying to make work, so because that's pretty fun. All right,
Anarch is just the most fun.
Anarch is good. Let's go to the next card. We'll go to the corp side of things, and we'll check out our first piece of ice. So this is a weird one. I have put this in a deck. I have to put in the, but we'll
Can I make a prediction about your feelings about it?
Okay. Yes.
Didn't want to pay 6.
You may be right. Yeah, you may be right. So this is Night Dancer. It is a 6 cost to res, 4 strength code gate with 2 subs. Each sub is the same, and each sub reads, the runner loses click, if able. And it says, you have an additional click to spend during your next turn. And it's 3 influence, it's HB.
Ugh.
Oh, man.
I want to like this card so bad.
If it was strength 5,
I was going to say the exact same thing.
Like,
Yeah, if you have strength 5, it's a lot better because then it costs 6 for a Black Orchestra to break it.
yes.
Yeah.
But
And then
3
it's also,
is...
then you leverage the cost and the res cost out of it. But yeah, so right now for 6 costs for something that doesn't end the run, and it probably won't fire because it costs 4 for Gordian Blade, it costs 3 for Black Orchestra.
Yeah, it's a
In faction criminal, but who cares? So,
yeah,
yeah, I don't. It's never gonna fire realistically for that cost. So
I agree. It's a sad.
essentially the end of the story with it.
Yeah, I agree. Sadly.
Yeah,
Why does it
as a
cost
secondary-
6? Why does it cost
it'd be-
6?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
my problem with this ice is that it costs 6, which eats into your next turn using those clicks to do things like advance ice. So like it doesn't end the run. It doesn't do anything. It basically just gets broken, and you spent 6 credits, and you feel bad. Like, it doesn't stop the run when you need it to. I think if you want something like,
it has a pretty good face check penalty, but
yeah.
Or even if it was just more taxing.
yeah,
Well,
You
that's
know?
that's the problem though. If you're gonna score, like, say this fires, okay, so like let's say you've got 15 credits, you're a corp. That's not unreasonable. Like turn 3 or something. Someone face checks Night Dancer. They say fires. It's like, okay, they lose a click. Let's say they do it. First click. This is best case. They lose 2 clicks. That's not bad. They access a card, whatever, and then you gain 2 extra clicks. So you have 5 clicks on your next turn. You use your 5 clicks to score a corporate sales team. That's probably the best case. So you've spent 10 credits to score corporate sales team, and all you force the runner to do is lose 2 clicks. You see what I mean? Like, even if you scored the best case scenario ice, like you're down so much. Like, you have to get value out of that the next turn. Like, I see that, if you go ultraviolet clearance, install something else, that's fine, but you're still down 6 credits. You've gained 4 back, but I don't know. It just feels really, really bad for me. I tried it in a Jinja grid deck, which is coming up next, but I just put one of them in because my idea was like, I'll just put it in the remote, and when they run it, they probably, like, I have like 6 or 7 ice there. They probably won't break it because they'll probably be running last click anyway. So I'll just gain some clicks. I'll trace them out with Ash, and then I'll score an agenda. Like, but that never happened. Like, it never works that way. You're always too poor after you res Night Dancer.
Yeah. It's
Anyway.
too expensive.
Anyway, any other thoughts on Night Dancer before we move to a better card?
It's kind of cool for protecting that new agenda, the new
Oh.
HB agenda.
Ikawa.
Ikawa, yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's go on to Jinja Grid. This is something everyone was freaking out about since this pack was spoiled, or before the whole thing was spoiled. This was like the first card everyone like latched onto. This is Jinja City Grid. It is an upgrade at region. It's 1 to res. It is 5 to trash, and its text is: whenever you draw a piece of ice, you may reveal it and install it, protecting this server, lowering the install cost by 4. Limit 1 region per server. It is 2 influence HB. So I know you guys have tried this card though, so tell me a little bit about your experience with Jinja City Grid.
I haven't played with this card.
What?
Yeah.
I thought you tried it.
I haven't, huh?
I thought you tried it. I thought we played against each other. No, maybe not.
No, not with this.
you played against it. I guess you had.
I've played against it.
Okay, you
a
played
couple of
against it.
times.
You have experience against it.
Yes,
Tell me about
absolutely.
that. Tell me about your experience.
I mean, it's really good against certain kinds of runner decks, especially like if like the trash breakers in Anarch like hate the kind of deck that Jinja Grid promotes, right? Because like you're just throwing a ton of ice out there and you're spending 3 to 6 credits to break like this stupid stack of ice. That's just dumb. It's really expensive, and like,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because like, okay, so that's 4 free ice that you can have on one server, and like if they're all one subroutine, then you're spending like, that's like 12 credits for.
Well, no, well, if you've installed 4 ice on one server, and you have Jinja City Grid resed, you've only effectively gained 2 credits. Because the first one's free, the second one costs 1, the second one costs 2, the second costs... So like,
Well, but it's also saving you clicks, you know?
or
Yeah.
maybe my math is wrong. 3, 1, 2... So 6, 5... four credits. Yeah, I guess it's okay.
And you
Wait.
use 6 from ice
From the
2 through
install.
4.
Yeah. So I guess you net 5 because you have to install this thing and res it. So
Yeah, it's a really good.
That's good.
It's a really good economy card. It's a really good.
And it's good with the
thank you.
clearances.
Yeah,
yeah, I've
clearance.
had that happen.
I tried it in and ASA security group, whatever the other new HB
Mm-hmm.
identity was, and then Nick at the store champ played it out of Next Design. Actually worked pretty well in that because you
Yeah.
see it turn 1 pretty frequently. Yeah, it's really good. In CI, it's sort of kind of a mixed bag because all the other CI corps are already pretty good, so it's kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
And it takes up slots that you need for actual economy cards because in CI, like pseudo economy is not as good in CI as actual economy because of your hand size thing. So security group, it works really well since you'll be able to install all this ice for very easily.
Now you still have to
But
res
then your
all the
hand
ice.
becomes. Yeah, eventually. That's true. But you're saving a bunch of money to install it, and presumably you have other economy in that deck, like actual. You can play the clearances in that deck because you have this.
Mhm.
Those, whereas in other HB identities, you can't play the clearances that easily because you have to figure out a way to install all the stuff from your hand.
That's a good point.
But-
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really good. I don't think it's as backbreaking as I expected. It's pretty intimidating to see a remote that has 8 ice that was installed for a trivial cost. But on the other hand, it just means you attack a central.
Right.
Giant ice tower on one remote and on a central is
But
fairly
so-
low. But
Nick's whole game plan, right, was like Jinja on a remote, Jinja on R&D.
Yep.
So
yeah, so that's what worked against me. So it's like that was the last round of the store champ. And I think I was up 6-0 against him. I think I was a credit or something short to get through the remote. And that was with Kongamato, which is the only reason I was even in that game to begin with, by the way. Because I was breaking these 8 strength better adaptive barriers for nothing.
Oh yeah, cider adapter barrier with Jinja Grid is crazy. Like
Yeah, that's
really
pretty
easy
good.
to get. That
I think
thing
I think if
straight.
you play this, you play 3 cider adaptive barriers. I
For
think
sure.
that's just you have to play those 6 cards. So, but yeah, and then R&D kept me out. The remote kept me out. It was just at that point I was just getting taxed out. You can't keep checking all the never advanced stuff in this remote if you have 7 ice or something on there.
right.
hmm
And ice you can't break it that easily. So it works pretty well late game. It just depends if the corp can actually get to that late game.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think it's a good card. It is, as you said, intimidating. I think it's a little bit of posturing by the corp more than
Sure.
it is actual protection. Like, you know how you have to res the ice. So like early on, if you play Jinja City Grid and you start installing ice, it's like so you have 3 or 4 ice, you only have 11 or 10 credits or maybe 15 credits. Like you're still not going to res all the ice. It gives you more choice. You know, it gives you more ice that you could potentially res, which is why it's kind of scary. But the fact that you aren't going to be able to res all that ice doesn't means that you're not going to necessarily keep them out any better, which I find it's a little bit weird. It's kind of like in tension with your. I mean, it's competing. Like it's competing for economy. It's good economy, but it's also competing for those other slots that are important. I don't know. I like it a lot. The art's awesome, also.
Yeah, the art is amazing.
Yeah, they did a good job this cycle with the art,
They did.
which is kind of weird considering the game is dead or something. So.
The game is not dead. The game is not dead. Do not say that. No. Yeah, it's not. It's not. There's so much going on now with Netrunner. I feel like it's had a little resurgence after the banning.
Yeah, I
restricted
was
lists,
I was kind of being tongue in cheek.
I know. But yeah, this is it's a fun card too. It's also really fun to like just install huge towers of ice.
Yeah, that part's fun. That's kind of everyone's dream when they open that core set
Yeah,
and
true.
they slide a bit.
Mhm.
Whatever. So,
What do you do past this?
I
Like, how do
definitely
you
did
how do you make a better Jinja City Grid? I don't think you possibly can, right? It's like this is as good as installing ice in a server gets.
Yeah,
I don't think
except
you want to
for
make a more powerful upgrade at all.
Architect
Yeah, I mean Architect
is
is good. Still.
good for ice install.
All right, let's go on to another one. Another ice. So we've got Imor, Imor.
I would say Imor,
Imor.
but
Okay.
I don't know.
This is a weird one. This is a zero cost ice trap, so it's a trap. It's 1 strength. It's Jinteki, and it's subroutine. Subroutine says trash the top 3 cards of the stack. Trash Imor. It's 2 influence. Does anyone play with this card? I have not seen this card in the wild.
I don't. No, I haven't. I
haven't either, but
worth it.
I expect people will probably play it in PU or something, or even
Right.
PE.
But
Yeah.
not.
Your
It's
deck.
not good in those decks, is it?
I don't think so.
I think
not
it's
worth
too
In
risky.
PU, I think it takes an eye slot. That
It's not worth the spot.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you playing it over? That's my question.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Anyway,
In PE, maybe if you're be able to find a slot for it, just
Sure,
because
because
it's harder to mill the stack in
Yeah.
PE, because that when you're attacking the hand more than you are the
yeah, that's a good point.
deck. But I don't know. It's kind of a weird ice. I don't expect it to see a lot of play, especially because Amakwa is in a lot of decks, so they'll break it pretty easily.
Yeah. And it doesn't really punish the runner all that much, unless you're running some sort of arc lockdown shenanigans. You're trying to like. I guess you
Oh, yeah.
would be in those decks anyway, but
I guess in Scorp, actually, it's not that bad. But
Yeah.
then also, you could just play
Fun
under.
in Scorp.
You could play that agenda, the Underway grid, where Underway is the agenda, the 3/1 that mills off the stack.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Interesting. I'd like to see what people come up with for this card, but I have not. I have not really experimented with it yet. So let's go on to Jinteki's agenda for this pack: bacterial programming. So this is a research agenda. It is 3 points and 5 advancement requirement, and it says when bacterial programming is scored or stolen, you may look at the top 7 cards of R&D, add any number of them to HQ, trash any number of them, and arrange the rest in any order.
Yeah.
Thoughts? Yeah.
It's cool. I don't think that I would actually play it, but it's cool.
Really? I found this to be kind of insane.
Really?
Yeah.
This agenda seems awesome, but like depending on the Jinteki deck you want, like I know Andrew Cortez won a Polana deck that plays this, because then you just fetch the punitive as soon as they find it, and the fact that it fires from everywhere
Oh.
is pretty crazy.
Yes.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. That's pretty good.
Yeah. It's like look top 7 cards and take one of them into your hand if it's your combo piece. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it works really well with IG,
Mhm.
because you just trash a bunch of cards.
Right, you just put cards into archives.
It's a very Jinteki card. I love the flavor of this card.
Yeah.
It's kind of a
Yeah, it's
throwaway
cool. I like it.
comment, but yeah, it's like it's a really cool card.
I haven't tried it in IG. I haven't tried IG in a while. I think I was trying it before, like right around when Urban Renewal came out and then stopped. But it seems really good in that, because hard right now, and that's the thing that IG needs a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
It adds a bunch of cards to HQ. It adds a bunch of cards to archives or whatever. So it gives you the stuff you want to spam out. It also lets you trash stuff you don't want to spam out.
Does
Mhm.
this
I think
help?
IG good is a good thing for the game, but it's also, like I was saying, in this punitive deck or Polana or whatever other decks where you need to fetch a specific tech card, I think the agenda is actually insane. So
Yeah, yeah. Definitely in a punitive deck.
kind of making 5/3s that are very useful that
Yeah.
people want to play. Right now, that's a good design position.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's all I have to say about it. I've been trying Cortez's deck as well, so I've liked it in that. And there are definitely going to be other decks that want this. All right, let's go to some NBN Ice. This is Jua. It is 2 to res, 3 strength sentry, and it has an encounter effect. When the runner encounters Jua, he or she cannot install cards for the remainder of the turn. And then as a subroutine, choose 2 installed runner cards if able. The runner must add 1 of those cards to the top of the stack. So what do you think about this one, guys?
Ah, man, it's cool. It's really cool. I just don't feel like you could fit it into anything. Or if you can't, I'm not sure where you would.
The problem is, I think, against something like CTM, it kind of just fights for a slot. It's a really good effect, especially early. The fact that there's a pretty harsh face check penalty in the early game. Late game, it does nothing. But I think in the early game, if they happen to hit this, the fact they can't install anything by itself is they have to bounce something is also it's also quite annoying. That being said, when I've tried it in either this or making news, it's it's good when it fires, but it's not great. But for the cost, I mean, they do have to fetch a breaker. They can't just keep letting stuff get bounced, so they can't let the sub keep firing. So it's good in that sense, like just as kind of a gear check.
Right.
But it's also super conditional, right? Like it could very easily just do nothing.
Yeah, that's true. I guess they either have
They
nothing
just
installed,
I
or they're
didn't
not
want to
gonna
install
it.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It also doesn't really work if they have an MK Ultra in the bin, because the runner trigger will let them install MK Ultra. Then this one will trigger, and then you can break it. So that's kind of bad, but that's just a natural. That's just how the game works. Like,
right.
But I think it's a very powerful. Like if you can guarantee, if you can get a deck that wants to rush out fast enough where Jua can stop the runner from doing things, like for an entire turn, that'll be powerful. Yeah, I think there probably is a deck that wants this, maybe like a harpsichord deck or something. Like, I don't know. There are a lot of cards they recently printed that return cards to hand or top of the stack. So now have we reached a kind of have we reached the point where there's enough cards that there could be a bounce all the runners cards deck, or is that not a thing? Like, I kind of think it might not be a thing, but maybe, I don't know.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because like just trash stuff.
Yeah.
Just make the trash stuff deck.
Yeah.
That's true. It's probably more effective. All right, this is interesting. I'd like to see it played more. I haven't run into it yet. This is one of those cards I just like. I think there's got to be a spot for it, right? It's got to be a spot. There's got to be a deck for it, but I just don't know what to do yet.
Threat assessment.
Like, it's kind of cool in decks that run targeted marketing, because then you can you know what's going to come back, and setting them back is nice. So that's good, but I don't know. I'm still up in the air on this card.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of because like they'll never take the tags, right?
Well, this one doesn't give tags. That's the next card. That's the next card. We haven't got there yet.
Oh, we haven't moved on. I thought we were looking at that card.
Oh, we can.
I'm just looking at Jua still.
We'll look at threat assessment now.
Sure.
This is kind of thematic complement to what we just looked at. This is threat assessment. It is an Operation Reprisal Grey Ops. It is 1 cost, and it says play only if the runner trashed at least 1 corp card during his or her last turn. Choose an installed runner card. The runner must either add that card to the top of the stack or take 2 tags. Remove threat assessment from the game instead of trashing it. And it is a 3 influence NVN card.
Yeah, it's a good effect. I think it just I think it just fights for slots versus other tag punishment or other trashing punishment.
Yeah.
In CTM, I guess you have to cut either a C source or a hard hitting, or I'm not sure. Put this card into there, but
now do you
it seems good.
Put this in the same deck as Jua, or are they competing in what they're doing?
They're probably competing because this would go in a deck where you have lots of stuff to install that gets trashed, right? So,
I think this is better than Jua.
Don't want to splash Jua. Yeah, and I think it's better than Jua too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, costs 1 less. There's a contingent of, the corp has to have something trashed. This is where you say, Jared, that they'll never take the tags.
Right. So like you have to really want to be bouncing stuff. I guess if you're also playing Salem's Hospitality, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's true. Who's doing that though?
I played a Salem's in the Store Champ deck in CTM. I cut it because I thought Apocalypse cold one, so I played it for that. And then the only highlight of the best highlight of the day was Clint had 3 cards in his hand as max levy. So and so you couldn't levy anywhere. That was pretty good.
That's nice.
But yes, that's sort of an aside. Yeah, I guess it would work okay with Salem's Hospitality. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the card's good. I think it just fights for other punishment slots in NBN right now.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Fair points. All right, let's check out Economic Warfare. This is a zero cost operation in Wayland. It's Grey Ops, and it says play only if the runner made a successful run during his or her last turn. The runner loses 4 credits if able.
The if able is something I didn't realize. I was playing this on JNet a bunch. This card actually doesn't do anything.
But like, if they have
Yeah.
3 credits, then
Fine.
How much
Then
do you
you're
care?
in good shape anyway.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
pointing out that if
Yeah.
able, people might
no,
not
that's a good
realize.
point. Yeah.
So I've been trying this card a bunch, primarily in making news or Soul. So the Soul deck actually someone else published it. Made it, I think Asher from I want to say Sweden. I can't remember. He made top 16 at Worlds. He published some New Angel Soul deck. It's a boom deck that with economic warfare, hard hitting news. The good old stuff.
Yep.
And this card seems to work really well in that. That's one Clint actually brought to that store champ last week. The same deck.
Yeah, it looked good.
Well,
Yeah. He
and then I was
crushed me
trying to
with it.
making news with just door to door in this without even like Aryabhata text, just as a econ denial, so they can't. Works okay.
Oh, that's annoying. Wow.
Yeah, it's more annoying than good. I think the Soul deck is good, so I think I'd play it in that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, the fact that it does a lot of good, so it saves you a bunch of credits if you want to C-source. So like economic warfare, C-source, and exchange works. It lands a lot more easily.
Mm-hmm.
Like warfare, hard hitting also works.
Yeah, because you can
Yeah,
do
I
it
mean,
from
the problem
lower
is you
credits, right? I mean,
Yeah, the one catch is it doesn't end up sitting in your hand a lot more often than you might think, because you don't want to just play it for random value. I think,
Right.
but it's still it's a very powerful effect, and I think it's worth. All right, that fact, and they're good cards that already exist, namely hard hitting, that synergize really well with it, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
I haven't tried it in Wayland because I don't play a lot of Wayland decks, but I imagine you can have a hard hitting like Titan deck or something where you're trying to force them to run early, something like that.
It's really annoying if you have a Stinson on the board. Like it's really good with Stinson. Like they can be at just above Stinson range, think they're fine, and you can economic warfare Stinson or whatever. It's just an econ card that turns on other busted cards. I feel.
Yeah.
And it definitely has a place in a kind of taggy NBN deck, but it is decent in Wayland. Just because you can still splash the same kind of thing, you can still get them tagged. It's just like it is literally like it's a reverse hedge fund effectively that you don't have to be at 9 credits to play. So you could be at 8 credits and they could be at 11. And you can economic warfare hard hitting news them or something like that. You click for credit, economic warfare hard hitting news. So it messes with their math a bit, and it's pretty cool. But yeah, I found the exact same thing, that it just sits in your hand a lot, and you just wait to use it, and then you try to find they run, and you're like, is this the turn where I can use it? Like, can I get the best value out of it? And I find like I mise my economic warfares more than I should, because I'm trying to get I'm trying to go like economic warfare, C-source, exchange, or like get them low enough to use Stinson, or get them low enough to hard hitting news. And sometimes I just can't do that because they have too much money, or something's happening. So I think it's better with C-source than it is with hard hitting news personally. But I think that the card is powerful and can definitely catch people off guard. And yeah.
Yeah, I haven't encountered it yet. My gut says that it looks scarier than it really is, and for a lot of the reasons that you guys were just talking about, like it's just it's like one more card that you need to have in your hand,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a combo card
with everything else.
Yeah, it doesn't work by itself really.
And it's not, and it's like it's not necessary for that combo to happen, but
Right.
it by itself is like not super useful. So then it just like sits there. And
So at the store championship, I was playing. Well, I wasn't playing economic warfare. I started playing economic warfare in sync. So I was playing Stinson, economic warfare, and reversed accounts. So the whole deck was basically you never have money is the idea, but it wasn't good enough because sync isn't very good right now. But the idea is like you could you know, bait them with bait them to run the reversed accounts, and if they don't, you can, you know, hard hitting news, or you can get them anyway with Stinson, and if they do, you can economic warfare, hard hitting news them, stuff like that. Which it seems like it works on paper, and it does, except for, you know, Sync's ice is so terrible, and they have very few cards in their deck that they tend to run out of things to do before they score out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I swapped out the economic warfares for MCA, 2 MCAs, and it's probably a bad it was kind of a mistake because I was just goofy, but I kind of wished I had the economic warfares because there were more situations that would have been more useful to tag the opponent as opposed to just trying to score out behind Double Data Raven or something like that, which still isn't bad, but yeah.
Yeah, I almost wonder if it's just better used as a card for, like, just make the runner more broke. Like, that's not inherently bad, right?
No, but there are other ways to do that, right? I mean, that's why I think it's just okay, is that you can C-source close them. And I was also running that. Like, I was also doing that, and that was more consistent than economic warfare was, and that's why I cut it.
Mm-hmm.
And also I was playing reverse accounts and nonsense like that. Like, I think there's definitely a threshold for making the runner lose money. Like, you there's only so much money you can make them lose before you have to start winning the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess as it's like, it could be that, like, the slight edge that you need, right, to open up that legendary scoring window that everyone always talks about.
Yeah, I don't think that works. I honestly don't think that works. I think there are too many runner tricks right now for economic warfare to actually, because if they don't run, you can't do it.
Sure.
So that's the big problem, right? It's kind of like you want to get them to run like an NGO, or something like that, or you want to get them to run a trap, then economic warfare punish them. But what you're doing when you're doing that, and this is just from my experience of playing this card, is like, you're not scoring. You're not winning the game. Like, the best thing you can do is then, like, I figured, tag them and then exchange stuff. But the problem with that is, if you're playing Sync, this is why it didn't do very well at the tournament, and I was just playing Jank. But, like, the idea is, like, if you're not playing enough agendas to score, they're going to run and steal agendas. You're going to hard-hitting news them. Then you're not going to have anything to do. You're not going to have anything to exchange. And so you'll be sitting on exchanges and, like, C-sources, and they're like, well, they're tagged. Now what? You know, so then there's nothing you can do. Like, so I think it might be fine in a future build of CTM, because I think it's best in decks like that are already taxing their credits.
Yes.
But I find it very, very bad in all operation decks like Sync or Wayland Core, things like that. So if we get some sort of neutral economy card that can compete with, and probably never will, but compete with or replace bankers in CTM, or if you can build a deck that's just all money, neutral money and stuff like that, like NASX pad, like maybe even that long-term investment card, which nobody plays but might be good. Like, if you start doing things like that and you're playing economic warfare, you might actually come out ahead, because you'll be forcing them to make a choice of, well, they either gain 8 credits or I go trash it and probably lose all my money and then get tagged. Like, so this could be a good leverage card against things like that. Besides that, I haven't been able to figure out, like, the best way to use economic warfare.
So what about, like, Gagarin? Do you think it's good?
Well, I don't think Gagarin is good. I don't think Gagarin's good right now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, what kind of deck? I guess that's my problem. Is, like, what kind of deck does Gagarin want to be? Like, does it want to be a Glacier deck with, like, a super server? Does it want to be asset spam that's had success in the past? Like, that deck right now is not very good. But the super server deck just doesn't exist because it's too contingent on drawing the upgrades in the right order, and also having ice. And then the centrals are just terrible. Like, your centrals are just terrible. They don't do anything. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So
I guess I was thinking along the lines of, like, throwing out a bunch of, like, econ assets and sit there and make money, or if they actually try to, like, go after them, then, you know, you have economic warfare to help keep them down.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like, if they run in trash your bankers and you go economic warfare, then Consulting Visit for hard-hitting news. Like, you're probably going to keep them tagged for at least an extra turn. And that might be what
you'll probably win at that point.
Yeah, I think you'll win at that point. And then, you're Gagarin, so you could probably play Judge, things like that. So I'd say, like, that deck probably... It doesn't exist yet, but it could in the future, like, where it's actually making use of its econ assets just as, like, leverage. That said, again, this is one of those things where, like, if you're making money, you're still not winning the game.
Right.
You need to have a way to leverage all that money, and I mean that's what Tubbs did. But like, if you're not playing Tubbs, and I don't think you're playing this card in Tubbs because it's a one-time use, and you'd rather just be playing like closed accounts in this slot anyway, which is sort of just better because you get them tagged, you close accounts, you shuffle it back through, you do it again. Like you could do that anyway, and they don't have to run. So I don't know. Like, it's a really cool card. I have a lot to say about it, but I feel like it hasn't found the deck for me yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Force Connection. We got just a couple more cards left, but all right, Force Connection. Zero Costa-Res, upgrade, ambush, 0 trash, and is Wayland. 2 influence. If Force Connection is accessed from R&D, the runner must reveal it. When the runner accesses Force Connection, trace 3. If successful, give the runner 2 tags. Ignore this ability if the runner accesses Forced Connection from archives.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Unimpressive.
It's a good trap in NBN, I guess, if it gives them tags that clear the tags. Especially in making news, because I don't think Trace 5 is pretty hard for them to swallow. But that depends if you think that deck is any good right now, which I don't know if it is.
I haven't seen it.
I'm not sure what deck it will go in. I tried it briefly, I think in 1 or 2, and I think CTM games, I think I took out a bankers for it. Actually do anything, and it didn't. So
yeah.
It's too bad. I don't know what
to
make of it.
This is a cool card.
It's a good card by itself. I just don't know where to put it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's very good. I guess, like, yeah.
I mean, what deck do you want it in, right? I guess all I can think of is making news. Like, is it good enough to go in Core Wayland? I mean, you have money to trace them. Like, that's not terrible. If they run last click, they'll be tagged, but Scorched Earth is gone, so like, I mean, not last click,
but single tag is not as brutal as it used to be.
Right. So if they run second to last click, they'll clear a tag, but if they run last click, they probably should die anyway, and they now have 2 tags and you can boom them. I mean, that's good.
Right.
But
I guess Wayland can play exchange now.
They can
for hostile versus or something. So maybe 1 tag is okay.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Kind of conditional if they don't. Either they clear the tags and then maybe you can land hard hitting or something. I'm not sure. There's a lot of conditions on it, so I think maybe correct. That's actually not as good.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not exactly sure where this card fits. Like, Wayland always wanted a trap that works. They wanted something that did. Like, if this card was in the core, back when we were playing Scorched Earth. Yeah, this card would have been.
This card would be
bonkers.
amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, just like, I'm gonna run R&D, and then I traced. Oh my God, they're gonna trace me for 14. Like, like it's coming.
Right.
It's like that is scary, and I don't know. Like, the snare in these decks do the same thing. Is one of my questions. It's kind of about the same thing. It gives you a tag. It does damage, so it synergizes with meat damage, net damage, whatever. So I don't know. Like, I like this card a lot. I think someone should prove me wrong and tell me that it's show me a deck that it's good in. Maybe show me a good deck that also uses it well. Maybe that's what I should say.
Harpsichord.
Oh, that's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, that might actually be good.
Huh. I hadn't thought about that. That's interesting. Yeah, Harp can do that. They have 15 or 17 influence. What? 15?
Yeah, but they have 15.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, how much do you need stock buyback? Right.
Yeah.
I don't. Maybe it's important. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been trying a couple of decks in it with Force Connection. It's just like Trace 3 is not enough, I feel,
Right. Yeah.
to make it matter. Like, Trace 5 puts them in a weird situation where they're like, okay, I either pay 5 now or pay 4 later in 2 clicks. That's a lot. But Trace 3 doesn't matter all that much. Like, Link Runners pay 2, you'll just pay 3 and probably won't get, bumped. But there might be a deck that wants this somewhere. Like, maybe as a one-of, just as a weird trap that substitutes for, like, a snare or something like that. It might exist. I don't know. All right, let's go to the last card in the pack. No, second last card in the pack.
No, there's 3 more cards.
3 more.
Are there 3 more? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right, so we're on SSL endorsement. This is a neutral agenda, 3 points, 5 advancement. It is an initiative. When SSL endorsement is scored or stolen, place 9 credits on it from the bank. When the corpse turn begins, he or she may take 3 credits from SSL endorsement. This ability is active even while SSL endorsement is in the runner's score area.
Yeah, it's a really good agenda. I haven't played with it. I've definitely played against it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff like punitive.
Yep.
Most importantly,
Yeah.
or hard hitting, etc. You do have to play it over whatever other 5/3 or works in certain decks, and if your deck is based upon having an economy lead like a punitive deck, then it makes perfect sense.
Right. I mean, the
I
effect
guess.
is powerful, right? I mean, it's
Yeah, the fact that it works when it's stolen or scored is kind of nuts.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. My thought though is that like there's like good 5/3s are like a thing now, and like it seems like all of the faction specific ones are like more important to like whatever your specific game plan is than this one is.
Well, currently, so
Well, right.
Wayland hasn't got their good 5/3 yet. They're about to.
Sure.
And we're not going to really talk about that now because it's not out yet. But that one plus SSL endorsement makes a lot of sense to me because they both fit into the punitive, obviously a punitive game plan. Like, you either have more money or they have fewer cards in hand or just die from, it's like kind of insane. So I think SSL endorsement has a lot of room to influence this meta. Like, I think it could be a good card, like in most decks.
I guess I don't know. For like punitive, I feel like it's only 3 credits.
Yeah.
Which maybe that there will be times where like that would make or break it, right? But I feel like I'd almost just I don't know. Like for that deck, are you doing Global Food Initiative and SSO?
I think right now you totally do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you have to go like punitive, or something like that, right?
Right.
Or punitive, consulting visit punitive, or something like that, which it's expensive, so it's probably going to be a core Wayland deck or a Titan deck. And I mean, there's inherent problems with putting 3/5s in your deck because they're going to get stolen. But at least this one pays you back for getting it stolen.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's definitely a best case scenario where it'll happen a lot. You will get this stolen, you will lose from getting it stolen. But I mean, if that's sort of like what you want to do and you want to play big, beefy agendas, this is a really good beefy agenda to play. I personally like it than things like Pyrrhec or which I've seen some of now for some reason. Like some people are playing that again in like Ag Infusion and stuff like that. But like I think this is one of the better neutral 3/5s that have come around in a while.
One of the better neutral 3/5s.
Yeah.
Sure, I would give it that.
Yeah, how many are there? There's like 4 now. No, there's a bunch of them.
I mean, like, do you think it's better than the HB like prebiotic one?
Oh no,
I don't think it's better than that one.
No way. I mean that one wins you the game. Like that one gives you a path to victory. This one doesn't. This one just says if you have X, Y, or Z combo card in hand, you might have more money than in enough money to win. But like if the 3 credit swing actually mattered, when it should probably doesn't, then good.
Sure, it's better than like a blank or like stealing any other 5/3 for the purposes of punitive.
Right. I mean, but gaining 3 credits a turn, or on your turn, is great. Like,
Sure.
that's really good. It's like you click. It's like you get a free government takeover click every turn, the beginning of the turn for 3 turns. For 3 turns.
Yeah.
But then again, you'll lose after 3 turns anyway because they'll just steal another SSL endorsement and something else. So it's
Yeah.
who knows?
I'm just like, if you're putting 5/3s in your deck, at least for me, I'm feeling like I would need something a little bit better than just like, more money is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we gotta continue going through this because my daughter is yelling for me. And she's gonna come banging on the door here in a second. I just know it. Okay, so this is NGO Front. It is a 0-cost asset. It is 1 to trash, no influence. It is neutral, and it says NGO Front can be advanced. Trash, and use 1 hosted advancement token. Gain 5 credits, or trash and 2 hosted tokens. Gain 8 credits.
I think this card's awesome.
Yes.
Like,
Grogboxer, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought the card was good when it was spoiled, and then the more I play it, the more I like it.
Yeah.
Mhm. Like, can you imagine a couple years ago if this card existed instead of Thomas Haas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
that'd be crazy.
like in that world.
About this, I will say the one worry I had about this card that I think has sort of come true when I play it on Jane. It does make R&D a little soft, but
Sure.
like the upside of this card is really huge.
Yeah.
Just to be able to bait runs in most relevant corp decks. So, yeah, I don't know what more to say.
Yeah.
Aside from it does its job very well.
Yeah, it's a good card. It's like a hedge fund or a melange, so you have to spend your whole turn more or less. But
I think as an econ card, it's pretty it's good, but mostly mediocre. I mean, the advantage is the economic swing of them running.
Right.
So in
Exactly.
CTM, it works really well because they have to every time you install advance something, you score if you score food, then the game's in your court.
Yep.
So the ball's in your court. So yeah, so they have to come check it. And then you can even install advance at naked. I think Net Jogging did that at a store champ. When he was playing this in his CTM, because I mean they're not going to come check it. Then they get hard hitting, especially because if you res and get 8 credits, then that's pretty nuts.
That's pretty good. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I think it's great. Like, I always get sad though because it gets trashed off of R&D, and then I'm like, man,
Sure.
like all of the surprise goes away. I can't like archive it back, or I have to like shuffle it back through and wait to draw it. Like those are the times where you really wish it was something else, because it'll get trashed, and even if you shuffle it back, it just makes R&D worse. So you have to shuffle something else back.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's great. All right, let's last card in pack is Distract the Masses. It is an operation, 0 cost, 0 influence, neutral. The text is: the runner gains 2 credits, trash up to 2 cards from HQ, then shuffle up to 2 cards from archives into R&D. Remove Distract the Masses from the game instead of trashing it.
I mean, it's worse than preemptive. I think in a lot of ways, and I don't think preemptive is very good to begin with.
You think it's worse than preemptive?
I think so. And you give them 2 credits. I guess you can shuffle the cards that you're trashing, so maybe it's okay.
It's weird. Like, I think it's better that it's not a terminal, so you could do it first click. I don't know why you would want to, but you could. The gaining of the runner, gaining the runner money is never good, but decks that want to use it are probably things like IG, or like PE.
Yeah,
or
but like
PU.
they both have genotyping infections, so there's not really a good reason to play this. I think.
Yeah, that's what my next point was going to be. It's like this is like a worse version of genotyping.
Right.
Yeah.
Or Wampoa?
Yeah, or Wampoa.
Right.
I mean, Wampoa is so
yeah,
good.
I think the reason I think it's worse than preemptive. Preemptive, recurs all it recurs one more card. It doesn't give the runner. I guess the benefit of this is that you can trash cards from HQ, but
Yeah,
I think there are other cards that do that. So Special Report does that for NDN already.
I guess I see
I guess
that.
for other factions. So in HB, you don't really. If you're CI, you don't really want to trash stuff from HQ. Maybe for the other HB identities, you might
So it's like
try to
the
actually play it.
Agenda Flood card, right? And like people were using preemptive for that because it felt like there weren't any other options once Jackson left. But you have to be like super sneaky about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So I guess if if you were putting preemptive in your deck for like fear of agenda flood, then I feel like this card is better, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
But
that's a good
I
point.
also feel like we just learned how to play without Jackson, and
Yeah.
that whole thing is less
Maybe-
scary now.
Yeah, good point. I mean, the fact that it's not a random trash is good. So you could just choose things to put in HQ or from HQ to archives. So if
So
you
I'm
have some,
drop back up, which I think kind of makes it worse too.
yeah, that's a good point. Does not draw back up. Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so like special report's really good because you replace the cards, so you're never just low on HQ cards or something. But runner money, then you're gonna have to draw the cards that you replaced.
True.
So you're kind of losing clicks. Yeah, it just there are a lot of downsides to it that I think I'm not necessarily sure are worth it. I think I'd rather just pay 2 influence for Wampa,
Yeah, I agree too.
rush behind end the run dice. I don't know.
Sure.
All right, well, what did you guys think of this pack in general, or what do you think about it?
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. Like, I'm pretty excited about NGO. That's kind of it for the corp side.
Really, what about Jinja Grid? Pretty good one.
I think the Jinja Grid is okay. I don't think it's like as good as the hype.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably true.
Like, it's fine. I don't actually think it's really that good.
I think the pack's really good. It's actually, and it's finally it's sort of shifting the meta a little bit. So the first pack basically changed nothing from the world's meta.
Yep.
That's true. Yes.
And then this changed things slightly because now you with the Jinja Grid Glacier, at least that's something slightly different. You do have these more the economic warfare based hard hitting decks. I think it changes things a little bit, which is good. So I hope it keeps going. And this is one of the better packs that's come out probably in a while.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot better than the first pack.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
they're a lot
better
more
than the first pack for
Playable
sure.
cards.
From the runner side, there's a lot here that you can dig into and really play with. Like whether you're playing Kongamato or Takobi or playing Adam. Like this is a lot of Adam love in this pack.
Yeah, this pack's really good for Adam. Kongamato's awesome. Kaveny.
I mean, I'm really like credit kiting. Like I'm just ready to build crap decks with that until I figure it out. Like it just seems awesome. Like, there's definitely it's
really
really
give it much
cool.
thought.
Yeah, it's a cool card, and I think it's surprising when you do it too, because there's a lot of ways for criminals to get in, but not a lot of ways for them to like jumpstart their economy when they kind of get behind, and it costs 0, which is kind of cool. So anyway, yeah. So that is Down the White Nile. Thank you, Jaredrules and Grogboxer, for joining me for this.
For sure.
Yeah. We'll hopefully have you guys back for the next pack review. That should be fun.
Ooh.
All right. Well,
They just announced it's going to be out on March 1st.
March 1st. Oh wow. All right. So we've got about 12
Got a few.
days. Sick. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me. And if please hit the subscribe button below, like us, tell us what we're doing right, tell us what we're doing wrong, and we will see you next time. Take care.
Yep. Bye.